Hey Pisces, welcome back. I wanted to sit down and talk with you about something that came through in the cards today, and honestly, it feels like one of those readings where the energy is just so specific and clear that I had to share it with you right away. So here is what I am picking up on. There is someone in your orbit, and this weekend is turning into a pretty significant moment for them. What started as them trying to convince themselves they did not want to be around you, that they were fine without you, that they could just move on easily, well, that narrative is crumbling. And the cards are showing me this whole internal shift happening for them, where suddenly you have become this person they cannot stop thinking about. Like you went from being someone they thought they could forget to someone who has actually become unforgettable in their mind. The energy here is really interesting because it is not about you chasing or doing anything specific. It is more about them sitting with their own thoughts this weekend and realizing that pushing you away or acting indifferent was actually just them trying to protect themselves from how much they actually feel. And now that protection mechanism is not working anymore. I pulled cards specifically to understand what is going on with them, what they are processing, and where this is all heading. And Pisces, the story that came through is pretty detailed. So let me walk you through what I am seeing, because I think this is going to resonate with you deeply, especially if you have been wondering what has been going on in their head lately. Let me start with the first card I pulled, and this one really set the tone for everything else. I got the Ace of Cups, and when this card shows up in a reading about someone else's feelings and realizations, it is talking about the beginning of an emotional awakening. This is not about superficial feelings or casual attraction. The Ace of Cups represents a genuine emotional opening, like their heart is actually starting to recognize something real and significant about you. What I am picking up here is that this person has been in emotional denial for a while. Maybe they have been telling themselves that what they felt for you was not that deep, or that they could easily find that connection somewhere else, or that you were just another person in their life. But this weekend, something is shifting. It is like their heart is finally admitting what their mind has been trying to suppress. And that admission is uncomfortable for them because it means they have to face the fact that they might have made a mistake in how they handled things with you. The Ace of Cups is showing me that they are experiencing these moments of emotional clarity where memories of you just flood in. Like they will be doing something completely unrelated, maybe hanging out with friends or trying to distract themselves with activities, and suddenly they are thinking about a conversation you had, or the way you laughed at something, or just your presence in their life. And these are not fleeting thoughts. These are the kind of thoughts that stick around and make them question everything they have been telling themselves. What is interesting here is the quality of the emotion that is coming through. This is not about physical attraction or surface level missing someone. The Ace of Cups talks about emotional potential, about recognizing that what you offered was something rare. Like they are starting to understand that the emotional connection you brought into their life is not something they can just replicate with someone else. There was a depth there, an understanding, a way you made them feel seen, that they are now realizing was actually pretty special. And this realization is creating anxiety for them, because it is forcing them to acknowledge that maybe they did not value what they had when they had it. There is this regret starting to form, not the dramatic kind, but the quiet kind where they are lying awake at night or zoning out during conversations because they are mentally replaying interactions with you and wishing they had approached things differently. The Ace of Cups is also showing me that this emotional awakening is genuine. Like this is not manipulation or games. This person is actually feeling something real, and it is catching them off guard because they thought they had their feelings under control. They thought they could just decide not to feel strongly about you, but emotions do not work that way. And now they are in this position where their heart is basically overriding all the logic they tried to use to distance themselves from you. For you, Pisces, this card is significant because it is validating that whatever connection you felt was not one-sided or imagined. The Ace of Cups confirms that there was real emotional potential there, and they are finally starting to feel the weight of that. This is the beginning of their realization journey, And it is making this weekend particularly uncomfortable for them because they cannot escape their own thoughts about you. Now let me move to the next card because this is where the story gets even more specific. I pulled the Two of Wands, and this card is all about contemplation, decision-making, and looking at different paths forward. When the Two of Wands shows up in this context, it is telling me that they are actively trying to figure out what to do about these feelings they are having. This person is standing at a crossroads in their mind. On one hand, they have the life they have been building without you. Maybe they have been trying to move on, date other people, focus on other things, convince themselves that they are fine. But on the other hand, there is this growing awareness that maybe walking away from you was not the right choice. And the Two of Wands is showing me that this weekend, they are really sitting with this dilemma. What I am picking up is a lot of mental energy from them. Like they are someone who overthinks things, and right now, you are the main subject of their overthinking. They are weighing pros and cons, thinking about what could happen if they reached out to you versus what happens if they continue to stay distant. They are imagining different scenarios, different futures, trying to figure out which path leads to the outcome they actually want. The interesting thing about the Two of Wands is that it represents the moment before action. This is not about them having made a decision yet. This is about them being in the process of deciding. And that process is making them anxious, because with every hour that passes this weekend, they are becoming more aware that they do not actually want to let you go completely. But reaching out feels risky to them, vulnerable, like they would be admitting they were wrong about pushing you away in the first place. I am also seeing that they are comparing you to other people in their life or other potential romantic interests. And here is what is making them anxious. Nobody else is measuring up. Like they might be trying to convince themselves that there are other options, other people who could fill that space. But when they honestly compare those situations to what they had with you or what they could have with you, everything else feels flat. You have become the standard in their mind, and that is both exciting and terrifying for them. The Two of Wands also talks about vision and planning. So they are not just randomly thinking about you. They are actually trying to envision what a future with you in it could look like. What would it mean to actually pursue this connection seriously? What would it require from them emotionally? Are they ready for that? And these questions are consuming a lot of their mental space this weekend. For you Pisces, this card is showing that they are taking you seriously in their thoughts, even if their actions have not shown that yet. The contemplation happening for them is deep and significant. This is not a passing thought. They are genuinely trying to figure out if they have the courage to act on what they are feeling. And that internal debate is what is creating the anxious energy around them this weekend. Let me pull the next card, because the story keeps building here. I got the Hanged Man, and okay, this card is so perfect for what is happening with them right now. The Hanged Man represents suspension, being stuck between states, seeing things from a completely new perspective. And in this reading, it is showing me that they are in this period of forced reflection where they cannot move forward or backward easily. They are just suspended in this space of new understanding. What is happening is that all their old perspectives about you and the situation are being turned upside down. Things they thought were true or assumptions they made are being challenged by this new emotional clarity they are experiencing. The Hanged Man is about that uncomfortable period where you realize your previous viewpoint was limited or wrong, and now you have to sit with this new perspective even though it is inconvenient. For this person, the Hanged Man is showing me that they are being forced to see you differently than they allowed themselves to see you before. Maybe they minimized your importance, or they focused on surface-level incompatibilities, or they convinced themselves that the timing was wrong. But now, during this suspended period of reflection this weekend, they are seeing past all those excuses and recognizing the real value you brought into their life. This card is also about sacrifice and what you are willing to give up for something meaningful. And I am picking up that they are starting to question what they sacrificed when they pushed you away or did not prioritize the connection. Like they are realizing that in trying to maintain control or protect themselves or pursue something else, They actually gave up something that could have been really significant. And that realization is uncomfortable because it means they have to acknowledge their own role in how things unfolded. The Hanged Man brings a quality of stillness and waiting. So they are not in action mode right now. They are in processing mode. This weekend is about them hanging in this space of realization, letting these new perspectives sink in, feeling the discomfort of recognizing they might have been wrong about you. And that stillness is actually anxiety-inducing for them because they are used to being in control or having clear direction, and right now they are just suspended in uncertainty about what to do with these feelings. What I find interesting here is that the Hanged Man often appears when someone needs to surrender old patterns or ways of thinking. So for them, this weekend represents a necessary pause where they have to let go of whatever narrative they built about why things could not work with you. That narrative is dissolving, and they are being forced to see the situation with fresh eyes. And what they are seeing now is making them realize you are unforgettable, not because of anything you are doing, but because of who you genuinely are and what you authentically offered. For you, Pisces, the Hanged Man is confirming that this person is going through a real shift. This is not superficial. They are in a transformative moment of understanding. And even though it is uncomfortable for them, it is necessary for them to arrive at a place of truth about their feelings for you. This suspended state they are in this weekend is actually the bridge between their old perspective and whatever comes next. Moving forward, the next card I pulled is Death. And I know that card can sound intense, but in tarot, death is about transformation, endings that lead to new beginnings, the complete release of old patterns, so something new can emerge. In this reading, Death is showing me that this person is experiencing the death of their old mindset about you and the situation. What is ending for them is the ability to stay in denial or emotional distance. That version of them that could pretend they did not care deeply, that could act like you were replaceable, that could convince themselves moving on was easy, that version is dying this weekend, and transformation is not always comfortable. In fact, it is usually pretty uncomfortable because it requires letting go of identities or stories we have told ourselves. The Death card is showing me that they cannot go back to seeing things the way they did before. Even if they wanted to, even if they tried to resurrect that old detached attitude, it would not work anymore. Something fundamental has shifted in how they perceive you and what you mean to them. This weekend is the death of their indifference, and what is being born in its place is a deep recognition of your significance in their life. I am picking up that this transformation is happening whether they want it to or not. Like they did not choose this weekend to have all these realizations. It is just happening. The universe, or their subconscious, or whatever you want to call it, has decided that it is time for them to stop running from the truth of their feelings. And the Death card represents that inevitable transformation that cannot be stopped or controlled. What is also interesting about Death in this position is that it clears the ground for something new to be built. So, while this weekend is about the ending of old patterns and perspectives, it is also creating space for a new approach to you and the connection. They are being transformed from someone who thought they could easily let you go into someone who recognizes they do not actually want to, and that transformation is complete and irreversible. For this person, the Death card also brings up themes of surrender. They have to surrender their pride, their need to be right about their previous choices, their fear of vulnerability. All of that has to die for them to move forward authentically. And that surrender process is what is creating the anxiety this weekend. They are mourning the loss of their emotional safety and control, even as they are being drawn towards something more real with you. For you, Pisces, this card is powerful because it is telling you that what is happening with them this weekend is not temporary or fleeting. This is a fundamental transformation in how they relate to you emotionally. The person who emerges from this weekend will not be the same person who entered it. They will carry a new understanding, a new emotional truth, and that changes everything about where things could go from here. Let me continue with the next card because the energy keeps deepening. I pulled Strength. And this card is so interesting in this context because strength is about inner courage, facing fears, taming inner conflicts with compassion and patience. When strength appears in a reading about someone else's emotional process, it is showing me what they need to cultivate or what they are struggling to access. For this person, strength is highlighting that they need courage to face what they are feeling. It takes real strength to admit you were wrong, to acknowledge that you pushed away something valuable, to be vulnerable enough to recognize that someone has become unforgettable to you. And right now, they are being called to find that strength within themselves. What I am picking up is that they are battling their own fear this weekend. Fear of rejection, fear of looking foolish if they admit they have changed their mind, fear of being vulnerable with you when they previously acted like they did not need the connection. Strength is showing me that these fears are loud in their mind, but there is also a growing inner knowing that they need to be brave enough to honor what they actually feel. The beautiful thing about the Strength card is that it is not about forcing anything or being aggressive. It is about gentle courage, about compassionately facing your own internal conflicts and choosing love over fear. So for this person, the work they are doing this weekend is learning to be gentle with themselves about the fact that they have feelings they did not want to have, while also being strong enough to consider acting on those feelings despite the vulnerability it requires. I am also seeing that strength represents their recognition of your own strength. Like part of what makes you unforgettable to them is the quiet power you carry. You are not someone who chased or begged or made yourself small to keep their attention. You have your own strength, your own life, your own worth that exists independent of their validation. And they are realizing that your strength is actually attractive to them, that it makes them respect you more, that it makes the connection feel more valuable because you are not desperate for it. The Strength card is also about patience and timing. So even though they are having all these realizations this weekend, they might need to cultivate the patience to approach things wisely rather than impulsively. There is a process here of them building up the courage to potentially reach out or make a move, but that courage has to be genuine and backed by real intention, not just anxiety-driven impulse. For you, Pisces, strength is encouraging you to maintain your own center through this. Whatever is happening with them, your power comes from staying true to yourself, from not waiting around or changing who you are to accommodate their process. Your strength is what made you unforgettable in the first place and continuing to honor. That is what will determine how things ultimately unfold. Now, the next card is really revealing about their internal state. I pulled the Nine of Swords, and this card is literally about anxiety, sleepless nights, mental torment, worry. When the Nine of Swords shows up, it is showing me that this person is genuinely struggling with anxious thoughts this weekend. This is not just casual thinking about you. This is obsessive, intrusive thoughts that are keeping them up at night. The Nine of Swords shows someone lying awake at night, unable to quiet their mind, replaying conversations and moments over and over, worrying about missed opportunities, feeling regret and anxiety about the current state of things. What I am picking up is that they are torturing themselves a bit with their thoughts about you. Every time they try to distract themselves or focus on something else, their mind wanders back to you. They are having these spiraling thought patterns where they go from missing you to wondering if you are thinking about them, to worrying that they have messed things up beyond repair, to questioning if they should reach out to fearing your response if they do. The Nine of Swords is showing me specific anxiety patterns. They are worried that you have moved on completely and that reaching out would be pointless or embarrassing. They are anxious that maybe what they felt was one-sided and you never cared as much as they thought. They are concerned that too much time has passed or that they hurt you too deeply for things to be repaired. All of these worries are cycling through their mind this weekend, creating this anxious mental state. What is significant here is that the Nine of Swords confirms that you have become more than just a passing thought for them. People do not lose sleep over someone who does not matter. They do not experience this level of mental preoccupation with someone they can easily forget. The fact that they are in this anxious state actually validates how much you have come to mean to them. Even if they fought against recognizing that before, I am also picking up that their anxiety is partly driven by regret. Like they are replaying moments where they could have shown up differently for you, times when they were distant or dismissive or did not appreciate what you were offering. And now those moments are haunting them because they represent opportunities they did not take, versions of the connection they did not allow to develop. That regret is feeding into their anxiety because they are not sure if those opportunities can be recovered. The Nine of Swords also shows isolation in their anxiety. Like they might not be talking to anyone about what they are feeling. They are keeping this internal turmoil to themselves, which only intensifies it. They are alone with their thoughts about you, and without external perspective or support, those thoughts just spiral deeper. For you, Pisces, the Nine of Swords is giving you insight into just how much space you are occupying in their mind right now. This is not casual interest or mild curiosity. They are genuinely consumed by thoughts of you this weekend, and that consumption is uncomfortable for them, but also indicates how unforgettable you have become. Their anxiety is a measure of how much they care, even if they have not expressed that to you yet. Let me move to the next card because this adds another layer. I pulled the Four of Pentacles, and this card is about holding on tightly, fear of loss, emotional guardedness, trying to maintain control. In this reading, the Four of Pentacles is showing me that part of what is creating their anxious weekend is their struggle between wanting to hold on to their emotional control and feeling that control slipping away. This person has been trying to hold on to a certain image or identity. Maybe they have been presenting themselves as someone who is fine, who has moved on, who does not need you or the connection. The Four of Pentacles shows them gripping tightly to that facade, afraid of what it means to let it go. But this weekend, that grip is weakening because the feelings they have been trying to contain are becoming too strong to suppress. What I am picking up is that they have a fear of emotional loss and vulnerability. Opening up to you, admitting they were wrong, showing that they care deeply, all of that feels like losing control to them. And control has been their safety mechanism. As long as they could control their emotions and their narrative about the situation, they felt protected. But you becoming unforgettable is threatening that protection because it is forcing them to acknowledge feelings they cannot control. The Four of Pentacles also represents possessiveness and not wanting to let go. So there is an interesting dynamic here where they are simultaneously trying to hold themselves back from you while also feeling possessive about you in their mind. Like even though they have not been actively pursuing the connection, the thought of you fully moving on or being with someone else creates a visceral reaction in them. They realize they have been holding on to the idea of you being available or potentially accessible, and the thought of losing that possibility is causing them anxiety. I am also seeing that the Four of Pentacles represents their fear of emotional investment. If they open up to how they really feel about you, if they pursue this connection seriously, they have to invest emotionally in a way that leaves them vulnerable. And vulnerability feels like a loss of the security and control they have been clinging to. So this weekend is this tug of war between their desire for emotional safety and their growing recognition that you are worth the risk. What is interesting is that the Four of Pentacles often shows up when someone needs to learn that trying to control everything actually prevents them from receiving what they truly want. So their tight grip on their emotions and their need to maintain a certain image is actually what has been blocking them from experiencing the real connection they could have with you. And this weekend, they are starting to feel the limitations of that approach. For you, Pisces, the Four of Pentacles is showing that their guardedness is about them, not about your value or worthiness. They are dealing with their own fears about vulnerability and control. And as they work through this weekend of realizations, they are being confronted with the fact that holding back has not protected them the way they thought it would. In fact, it has just left them feeling anxious and full of regret about not being more open with you when they had the chance. Now let me pull the next card because we are getting to the deeper truth of what is happening. I got the Nine of Pentacles, and this card brings a really interesting energy to this reading. The Nine of Pentacles is about independence, self-sufficiency, appreciating quality and value, enjoying the fruits of your own labor. In this context, it is showing me that they are recognizing your independence and quality as a person. Part of what is making you unforgettable to them is that you have not been waiting around for them. You have your own life, your own goals, your own sense of fulfillment that does not depend on their validation or presence. The Nine of Pentacles shows someone who is comfortable in their own company, who has built something beautiful in their life, who carries themselves with a certain grace and self-assurance, and they are realizing that describes you. What I am picking up is that they are seeing you more clearly now. Before, maybe they took your presence for granted or did not fully appreciate what you brought to the table. But this weekend, with the clarity that comes from distance and reflection, they are recognizing the quality of person you are. The Nine of Pentacles is showing them that you are someone who knows your own worth, who does not need to chase or convince anyone of your value, who is genuinely content with who you are and what you have created in your life. And here is what is making this recognition anxiety-inducing for them. People like that, people who embody the Nine of Pentacles energy, are rare and valuable. They are not easily found or replicated. So the more they see your true quality, the more they realize that letting you slip away would be a genuine loss. You are not someone desperate for connection, which actually makes the potential of connection with you more valuable. The Nine of Pentacles is also about refinement and standards. So they are recognizing that you have standards, that you are not going to accept just anything from anyone, that any connection with you would need to be genuine and respectful of who you are. And that recognition is both attractive and intimidating to them. It is attractive because quality recognizes quality and they respect your self-respect. But it is intimidating because it means they cannot approach you half-heartedly or with unclear intentions. I am also picking up that the Nine of Pentacles represents their awareness, that you do not need them specifically. You are fine on your own. You would probably be open to a meaningful connection, but you are not desperate for it. And that independence is making them realize they need to bring something real to the table if they want to be part of your life. It is raising their awareness that you are a catch, not someone who will settle or accept breadcrumbs. For you, Pisces, the Nine of Pentacles is beautiful validation of who you are. The cards are reflecting back that your independence, your self-sufficiency, your quality as a person are not only real, but are specifically what is making you unforgettable to this person. They are realizing they cannot just coast on surface-level attraction or casual interest. If they want access to your energy and your life, they need to show up in a way that matches your standard. Let me continue with the next card, because this pulls together the emotional component beautifully. I pulled the Lovers, and okay, this is significant. The Lovers card is about meaningful choice, genuine connection, alignment of values, the decision to come together in a significant way. When the Lovers appears in a reading about someone else's feelings and process, it is showing me that they are recognizing the potential for real partnership with you. This weekend is bringing them to a crossroads where they have to make a choice about you. The Lovers is not about casual dating or superficial attraction. It is about recognizing someone as a potential partner in a deeper sense. Someone with whom you share values and vision, someone who could genuinely complement your life, and they are starting to see you through that lens. What I am picking up is that before this, maybe they were not taking the connection seriously enough. Maybe they saw you as an option among options, or they were not thinking long-term, or they were too caught up in their own stuff to recognize what was right in front of them. But the Lovers appearing now shows that their perspective has shifted to a more serious consideration of what you could be together. The Lovers is also about alignment and harmony. So they are recognizing that there is a natural compatibility between you, a way you understand each other, a complementary energy that is actually pretty rare. This is not just about physical attraction or shared interests. This is about recognizing that your values align, that you see the world in compatible ways, that there is potential for a relationship built on mutual respect and genuine affection. What is creating anxiety for them around the Lovers is that this card demands a choice. They cannot sit in the middle ground anymore. They cannot keep one foot in and one foot out. The Lovers is pushing them toward a decision about whether they are going to honor this connection or truly let it go. And making that decision requires courage and vulnerability, because choosing to pursue something real with you means they have to risk rejection. They have to be honest about their feelings. They have to potentially admit they made mistakes in how they handled things before. I am also seeing that the Lovers represents their recognition of chemistry and connection that goes beyond the surface. Like on a soul level, they feel drawn to you. There is something about your energy that resonates with theirs in a way that feels meant to be or fated. And even if they do not believe in that stuff consciously, they cannot deny that being around you or thinking about you creates this feeling of rightness that they have not experienced with other people. For you, Pisces, the Lovers is a powerful affirmation that what you felt between you was real and mutual. This is not about you imagining something or projecting your desires onto the situation. The connection was genuine, and they are finally allowing themselves to acknowledge that. This card suggests that if they can find the courage to make the choice toward you, there is real potential for something meaningful and aligned. Now, the final card I pulled brings this whole reading to a beautiful conclusion. I got the Wheel of Fortune, and this card is about cycles, timing, fate, things coming full circle. When the Wheel of Fortune shows up at the end of a reading like this, it is telling me that there is a karmic or fated quality to what is happening this weekend. The Wheel of Fortune is showing me that this moment of realization they are having is not random. There is a larger pattern at play, a sense that things unfold in their own time, and that this weekend represents a turning point in the cycle between you. What was distant is coming closer. What was unclear is becoming obvious. What was denied is being acknowledged. For this person, the Wheel of Fortune represents their awareness that they cannot control everything. As much as they tried to control their feelings, to control the narrative, to control the outcome, the wheel turns regardless of their efforts. And right now, the wheel is turning toward recognition, toward truth, toward the inevitability of them having to face how much you actually mean to them. What I am picking up is that they are feeling the weight of timing. Like maybe they are realizing that there was a reason things unfolded the way they did, that they needed this time apart or this period of distance to truly understand what you represent in their life. The Wheel of Fortune suggests that everything that has happened has been leading to this moment of clarity, this weekend where denial is no longer possible. The wheel also represents change and movement, so this reading is not about them staying stuck in their anxiety and recognition. The wheel suggests that movement is coming, that this turning point will lead to action or change in how they approach you, whether that is them reaching out or shifting their energy in a way you will notice, or making internal commitments about what they want to do, moving forward. Change is indicated. I am also seeing that the Wheel of Fortune brings a quality of things coming back around. Like maybe you and this person had a connection before and then things fell apart or went silent. The wheel suggests a return, a coming back to something that matters, a second chance or new beginning that honors what was genuine the first time around. For you, Pisces, the Wheel of Fortune is encouraging you to trust the timing and the process. What is meant for you will not miss you. If this person is supposed to come back into your life in a meaningful way, the wheel will facilitate that. And if they are not ready or capable of honoring the connection, the wheel will move you towards something better. Either way, you are not in control of their process, And that is actually liberating because it means you can focus on your own path while trusting that the right people and situations will align when the time is right. So Pisces, let me bring this all together for you. This weekend is significant for someone in your orbit. They entered this weekend thinking they had moved on from you or that they could maintain emotional distance. But what is happening is a complete unraveling of that narrative. From the Ace of Cups emotional awakening to the Two of Wands contemplation of different paths, from the Hanged Man's shift in perspective to Death's transformation of old patterns, from Strength's call for courage to the Nine of Swords anxious obsession, from the Four of Pentacles struggle with control to the Nine of Pentacles recognition of your quality, from the Lover's acknowledgement of real potential to the Wheel of Fortune's turning toward change, every card is telling the story of someone who is realizing you are unforgettable. They are having a rough weekend emotionally because comfort and denial are dying, and truth and recognition are taking their place. That process is uncomfortable but necessary. You are not just a memory or a passing interest to them anymore. You have become this person they cannot stop thinking about, someone whose value they finally see clearly, someone they are realizing they do not actually want to lose. What you do with this information is up to you. You are not responsible for their process or their realization. You get to maintain your own center, your own standards, your own life, while they figure out what they want to do about these feelings. And if they do reach out or make a move, you get to decide what that means for you and whether it aligns with what you want. But know this, their anxious weekend is not about you doing anything wrong or them not caring. It is about them finally waking up to what was there all along. And that awakening is creating all this internal turmoil because it means they have to face their own fears and choices. You are unforgettable, Pisces, not because you chased or convinced anyone, but because of who you genuinely are. And that truth is landing for them this weekend in a way they can no longer ignore. I hope this reading brought you clarity and validation. Trust yourself, trust your worth, and let the wheel turn as it needs to. What is meant for you is already finding its way.